This video is powered by Dr. Cinik, one of the world's leading hair transplant centres and a top choice among football superstars. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link below for your free consultation.
Welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. The Euros back in action today. Just before I talk about that, actually, got to say a big well done going out to our two players who are over there at the Copa America with Brazil, Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Magalhaes. Brazil getting off finally to a winning start. They drew their first game, but they won 4-1 last night against Paraguay. Martinelli didn't get on today, or didn't get on last night, should I say, but Gabriel Magalhaes did come on late in the game in the second half, so good to see him getting some minutes and good to see them getting a victory. They're under a lot of pressure after that 0-0 draw against Costa Rica, so well done to our boys there. And a couple of our boys playing today in some big games. Germany versus Denmark. Germany, of course, the host nation, taking on Denmark in the round of 16. Kai Havertz needs a big game, really. I've seen that he's been under a little bit of pressure from the sort of German fans. You know, that guy is a bit in a similar sort of situation to what we're seeing with England, where the substitutes have come on and done well, and Füllkrug has been doing really well when he's come on. He's been scoring goals. Havertz only the one goal so far in the tournament, and a lot of people saying that Füllkrug should start ahead of him. But good luck to Havertz in his game for Germany, and also good luck to Jorginho, who comes up against Arsenal old boy Granit Xhaka as Italy take on Switzerland. And maybe we may be able to have a little agent Jorginho going on right now. Maybe he starts to have a few words with Riccardo Calafiori, who's also been playing for that Italian team, been the star, I feel, of that Italian team. And he is still being linked with a move to Arsenal today, heavily. So can Jorginho, put a word in? It seems like there's 3 clubs right now that are really, really in for him, right? Juventus really, really want him badly. And Juventus, normally when they want a player badly, they get him. Spurs are interested in him. Arsenal interested in. There's also said to be interested from Liverpool, said to be interested as well, several other clubs. But those 3 seem to be the ones ahead of the pack. Now, it was interesting. I was listening to what Fabrizio Romano was saying yesterday. And also I've heard other journalists over in Italy say this as well, that the Calafiori to Juventus, even though apparently Calafiori is up for that move, and, listen, Juventus are the biggest club in Italian football, and a lot of players sort of look on that as their dream move in Italy. Even though Calafiori would be up for that move, his club are not really open, or wouldn't really like to sell to Juventus, because Juventus nicked their manager, Thiago Motta, and they're still a bit unhappy about that. So it makes things very complicated. They don't, their fans and the hierarchy there don't really want to then lose one of their best players to Juventus as well as losing their manager. So that complicates that deal, which means it could come down to, and we're not 100% sure, but it could come down to Spurs and Arsenal. Apparently he's already sort of, people are saying behind the scenes, not keen on a Spurs move. And why would you want to go to Spurs unless you want to finish with no trophies? So Arsenal, sort of out of those 3, could be the favourites to sign Calafiori. Now, nothing's going to get decided until after the Euros, or until after Italy, leave the Euros. Of course, they're the holders of the Euros. They could still go all the way despite having a bit of a mixed time so far. They've got a really tough game against Switzerland today. But we're not going to find out where he ends up until then. But Arsenal are interested in Calafiori. He is a top player. Would be great to have like those options, Calafiori, Saliba, and Gabriel. That starts to make that back line look formidable. But let's see how that one turns out. Jules Kounde, who I spoke about this on yesterday's show, saying that Arsenal have made an approach for Jules Kounde. This is according to a journalist called Gerard Romero. However, that approach has been rejected by Barcelona. They do not want to sell Jules Kounde. They see him as a very important player. They do need to sell players. They still would rather sell players like Rafinha, who we were told that Arsenal were interested in about a month ago. But they do not want to sell Jules Kounde, and they apparently have rejected that approach from Arsenal for Jules Kounde. Arsenal apparently are turning their attentions as well to another centre-back, and his name's called Nasser Djiga. He plays for Red Star Belgrade over there in Serbia. Now, the reports are that Arsenal are interested in the centre-back, big, powerful centre-back. He was actually on loan to Red Star last season from FC Basel, the same club in Switzerland where we bought El Neni from. He had a successful time of it, and Red Star signed him on a permanent deal, said to be around about 4 million, with all their add-ons, etc., etc. So he's only just signed, after a season-long loan at Red Star, and already Arsenal are said to be interested in him. There's rumours going around that, Arsenal will be willing to pay 19 million for him, which would represent a big jump in profits for Red Star. Clubs over in Serbia, the league is nowhere near as big, even though it's a really big, well-supported club. They may not be able to reject such an offer if that's true. But those are the reports that Arsenal made a move for him. Listen, I wouldn't discount something like this. It's one of those under-the-radar signings. It's one of those players that, is an emerging talent and could come in and do a job. But let's see this one. Let's see. I don't know what's his space on this one. He's also been linked with some other teams over in the Premier League. He's sort of a real left field one, but you never know. You never know. No one expected the Jakob Kivior deal. That sort of came out of the blue. So we know Arsenal have done some of these out of the blue deals. Another one like that looks like this one. Semih Kilicsoy, the Turkish wonder kid, as he's been described, being linked again today with a move to Arsenal. Now, the publication Aksam over there in Turkey, they claim that Arsenal stepped up their pursuit of the talented forward who scored 11 goals last season for Besiktas, a real emerging talent. He's over there with the Turkey team at the Euros. Hasn't actually played a game yet in those Euros, hasn't featured, but is considered over in Turkey as one of their really, really top talents. Only 18, and as I said, he's a centre forward, scored 11 goals last season. Young player, very, very young player. Is this the sort of player that Arsenal are going to move? I mean, we're looking for a striker, but 18. If a player like that was bought in, that's more of a player to build, not really a player that's going to be starting. But Arsenal linked with him. It's about the third time now since transfer window is opened that his name has been called and strong links to Arsenal. So again, Semih Kilicsoy. Let's see how that one develops. Kilicsoy. And Arsenal to expect a big windfall in money. Amari Hutchinson, remember him? He was at Arsenal, came through the youth ranks, ended up going to Chelsea. It was a real surprising move because Arsenal were trying to sign him to a new long-term contract. But they were very smart, Arsenal. They inserted a release clause into there, which means they will get a sell-on fee of 15 to 20% of his reported 22 million fee that he's going to be, that Chelsea are going to be receiving from Ipswich. I tell you, this Chelsea, they're smart, You got to hand it to them. The way they just get young players and then just move them on. It's almost like they just do it for profit. They're not even... When Amari Hutchinson went to Chelsea, I'm thinking, you're not playing. You're not going to get no game time at Chelsea. They brought Mudryk in. They've got all these wide players. Sterling, how are you going to get a start? But probably they had no intention of him starting any games anyway. They were just buying him to then sell him on. And that's exactly what they're doing now to Ipswich after he had a successful loan period there. But Arsenal will get a sell-on clause. And I think one of the things that you've got to say about Arsenal, and you've got to credit Edu, and I don't know if people give him enough credit for this. Remember when he came into Arsenal and how many players we had that were just worth nothing. They were older players. They weren't very good. And they were just had no sort of value in the market. And we were literally having to give away players just to get them off the wage bill. You know, average players we had, and all of them were on over £100,000 plus. And he had to get rid of all of those players. And then over a period of time, he's built it up where now all of a sudden, there are players of serious value in Arsenal's team. Even if those players have to be moved on, or, you know, somebody came in and wanted to tempt them away, you're going to have to pay top dollar. If you wanted Martin Odegaard right now, that's £100 million in the current market. You're not going to get him for less than that. We paid £35 million for him. And those are the sort of things what he's been doing. He's been bringing in players that the value of those players are still higher when he looks to sell them on. Then we've got all these academy players like Reece Nelson. You can get a 20 million for pure profit. Eddie Nketiah, there's a 50 million, maybe not 50 million, but profit. Pure profit off of players like this. Emil Smith-Rowe, if he does go, a £35 million profit, at least then you've got something that you can then go and reinvest back into the market and try and bring in, you know, players that are even better. So I think he's done a great job on that front. And, you know, that is really can't be underestimated because, listen, no player stays forever. And when that player does decide to go, if you can make a profit off of him or you don't make a loss, that is good transfer dealings that enables you to go back into the market and buy other players. Those are the transfer rumours for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget, we're going to be doing another Transfer Daily Extra on Playback. So look out for that. So if you haven't already signed up to Playback, sign up to Playback right now. We're going to be doing a Transfer Daily Extra. We're going to be doing a load of shows on there next week. So make sure you look out for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.